Welcome to the channel, folks. I really appreciate you guys clicking on the video, as always. I've been meaning to paint the wheel and the Trans Am for quite a while because it's all rusty and the paint's flaking off of it, so let's go ahead and get to it. As you can see, the wheel in this car has seen better days. The ring around the edge isn't in bad condition. It's starting to dry and crack a little bit in some places, but not really that bad. Hope the camera can focus for you, but today we're going to be taking care of the spokes. We're going to tape everything off and cover up the dash and all that stuff, and paint these metal spokes here that have the rust on them. I've got my painting kit set up here. I've got a big white sheet for covering up the dash, and I've got some 50 grit for knocking all the rust and pitting and stuff like that down, and I've got some 150 grit for smoothing it all up, and some self-etching primer because that stuff sticks to bare metal better than anything else, and it'll make sure the paint stays stuck for a good and long time. And to go on top of the etching primer, there's some 2-in-1 filler and sandable primer, which will help fill any little pitting and holes and stuff like that we can't sand down in too far enough to get rid of. And obviously here at the end I've got some black paint. This is flat black specifically, and I think the color that is on the wheel might actually be the color of the car or something similar to that, but it's, you know, not going to be the end of the world to repaint it flat black. It's going to look a whole lot better. Interior of the car is coming along pretty nicely, by the way. I just cleaned up the door panel and the door jambs earlier today. I still need to clean up the back seat and cover it with something, but in the meantime just keeping it folded down keeps it from looking so bad. I cleaned up the center console too. The car is actually starting to look somewhat decent in here. Alright, now that everything is all masked up properly, it's time to sand it. Sandpaper is trying to walk away from me. Alright, the sanding's all done. Next step would be primer. Almost out of etching primer. Alright, it usually takes quite a bit of time for that thick filler primer to dry, so I'll see you guys in about 15 to 30 minutes. Alright guys, the primer's dry and it's time for paint. For those of you who don't follow my channel regularly, I actually make my living doing affordable paint jobs for people with mainly Rust-Oleum products. And no, I don't spray their cars with rattle cans. I use an oil-based enamel that I thin with acetone and spray out of a compressor. But that being out of the way, a little tip that you guys might want to take into consideration for when you're spray bombing stuff is to keep your can the right distance away from whatever you're spraying, and always try to keep the can moving. That way you don't get too much paint on there and make it run. And you also don't want to keep it too far away from what you're painting either, because then you'll end up not getting really good coverage and not getting a good finish and all that stuff. So before you start trying to get good paint results with a rattle can, you might want to practice on an object, getting your distance right and your movement right too. You generally don't want to stop moving the can back and forth when you're painting, because you'll end up with too much paint in one spot and get a run. So paint lesson's over with. Let's paint this thing. I'm gonna try to get the harder to reach areas first. like the sides and the bottom of the spokes. Let's hit them one more time just to make sure we got them. Alright, now let's get a nice uniform coverage of paint on the spokes themselves. Or the frontal surface of the spokes, that is. There's probably going to be some orange peel in there, based on the way it looks right now. But that's a decent example of a nice uniform amount of coverage. Not too much, not too little. It's a little shy up here in this corner. There we go. Touch it up along the bottom just to make sure. Oops, sorry for the bad camera angle there. Alright, gonna let that dry. It should come out looking pretty good when it's done. And there you have it, guys. From start to finish, a freshly repainted Trans Am wheel. Came out looking pretty good. The flat finish helps to hide any imperfections that there might be. Really came out looking awesome, but that's why I like flat black so much. It hides a lot of problems. Man, that looks so much better. One of the next interior upgrades or fixes that I'm looking into for the car is a new dash cap. They're going for a pretty reasonable price, about 150 or 160 bucks shipped, and that's pretty much one of the last things, apart from a back seat or a reupholstering of the back seat, that this car needs for the interior to look really presentable. I know these are just seat covers, but I'm happy with them for now. Just straighten the wrinkles up sometime when I get a chance. That's pretty much it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the step-by-step thing that I did with you here. Hopefully that might help you a little bit if you want to do a small paint job or something with a rattle can. And if you are going to do that, I strongly recommend using Rust-Oleum, because I've been using their products, not only selling them to customers, but using them on my own vehicles for years. And their paint, as long as you know how to apply it properly, it lasts for a very long time, and it holds a decent looking finish for a good while too. But this ain't a Rust-Oleum advertisement. I appreciate you guys checking out the vid. Take it easy.